Welcome to the Blessed Podcast. I'm your host, Raquel. This podcast is to help you experience being blessed that transcends a mere hashtag. Let me add my disclaimer, like I do every week. I'm not an evangelist, preacher, prophet, or Bible scholar. I'm a God-worshiping, Jesus-loving, Bible-believing, New Thought Christian who believes that God blesses us according to our faith and how we work his principles. So if you're ready to be encouraged and grow your faith by hearing how God is blessing his children, then you're in the right place. I'm broadcasting on WYTV7 Christian Broadcasters Network, a non-profitable, charitable radio broadcast with a mission to empower, encourage, and educate. Your donations are always welcome to help further the mission. You can donate at www.wytv7.org. Okay, so it's still Raytober, and I am interviewing people who are inspirational in my life. And last week, you heard from my oldest sister, Rosalind. But this week, it's my other older sister. She's not the oldest, but she's older than me because I'm the baby. It's my sister, Sheri Tolson. She's a mother. She's a teacher. She's a grandmother. I always forget about that part. Grandmother. And her grandbabies are just adorable. She's a speaker. And I always like to, my sister Roz and I, we always say she's an unofficial shelter. She runs an unofficial shelter for teens. And we'll talk more about that because you know what, Sheri? I've always thought you did a wonderful job working with the teens, but it wasn't until I started watching that TV show Pose and the kids there, you know, they're gay or trans kids and they get kicked out of their homes. Even though I don't think that was necessarily the case with your children, but those children were kicked out and they were like left on the streets. And so it just seems like it's really important for people like you out there who are willing to take in teenagers who get kicked out of their homes or just don't feel comfortable or don't want to be in their homes. Instead of running away to the streets, they have a safe place to go. So without further ado, everybody, welcome my sister, Sheri. So I see that you are still at school.
Yes.
You are always at school.
Well, I like to stay. They haven't been doing this all day. Well, all afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
I like to stay after to help my kids. I have the kids in my class are what they call tier 3 students, which are those who need that extra help right before they might end up in special needs or something. So I stay a little bit extra for the ones who are in the after school program so that I can help push them along so that they don't end up in special needs classes, because some of them, all they need is a little extra and to work on things differently than most of the other kids in the classroom.
So I did say you were a teacher, but I guess I need to explain that not only are you a teacher, you are a dedicated teacher who is willing to stay after school, come on Saturdays, will work in the summer, even if you don't get paid, correct?
That's true.
All of that. So why do you do that?
Everybody deserves a chance. There are so many people out there, and I teach second grade this year, but there are so many people out there who you could probably talk to who are doing things that they didn't think they were capable of doing back when they were in second grade. A lot of your speakers probably couldn't speak very well. They were shy, couldn't stand in front of people, or maybe they stuttered. We had a guy who talked about a friend of his who was a doctor who couldn't even read when he was in the second grade. My kids have to be empowered to understand that just because they can't do something now it's too early to tell what you're going to be at this point, because whatever you think in your mind, that's what you can aspire to do. And they have to have people who are supporting them and pushing them and letting them know you can be or do whatever you choose.
That is so deep, because you know that I go to a church that's what we preach. So even adults still need to hear that today. You can, well, we say you can be, do, and have whatever you think. It's your thoughts that are limiting you, nothing else. Even in this era of Trump or the Republicans running everything, it doesn't matter, because it's our thoughts that count. It's so, yeah, I'm so glad you are there. You said something. You said you're teaching second grade this year. So how does that work? You teach different classes every year, different grades?
Well, it depends on where I'm needed. I started out in 5th grade, and I started in 1st grade, but I was with a grant then. But when I first got hired on, I was in 5th grade, and I stayed in 5th grade for a while. And then I started moving me around. I went to 3rd grade, back to 1st grade, up to 3rd grade again, and this is my 2nd year back in 2nd grade.
That's a lot. Is it difficult to teach all of those different age groups? I mean, because it's a big difference between 1st and 5th grade. It was a long time since I've been in those classes, but I already know that that's a big difference.
I think the biggest difference is the language.
Mm.
You can talk to 5th graders differently than you can talk to 1st graders, because they understand differently. They have a larger vocabulary. So when you're dealing with younger children, you have to know what vocabulary will help them or that they'll understand.
Mm.
Because you can talk and they're not going to tell you, I don't know what you're talking about. They'll just smile.
You know why I'm laughing, because that's what you do too. Okay, so when my sister and my dad is the same way, the two of them, if you ask them a question that they don't know or they don't want to answer, they just smile. Y'all do that all the time. And y'all have the same exact smile when y'all do it. It's just crazy. And most of us want to punch y'all. But I'm just saying, we love you, but we want to punch you when you do that. So I just find it's funny that you definitely would know how to deal with that. When they start smiling, you know they don't understand. They don't
understand. I need to find a new way to say it.
Right. So it sounds like you have a lot of basically expertise in not just teaching children, motivating children, and things like that. So I know you have a YouTube page that you have, and not just on the YouTube, but for your parents at your school, you guys have a system where you help parents teach their children.
Right. Parents are the first teachers. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times they get to the point where they think that they don't know the things that's being taught at the school, because it may be presented a little bit differently. So it's always good to keep that dialogue open with the parents to help them be able to help their children succeed at school. Mm-hmm. Sometimes parents think helping their child is doing it for them. That's not helping. We all have, the struggle is real for a reason. We have to struggle through in order to become proficient. Anything you're good at, you had to work at, and it wasn't always easy. It became easy as you worked. Sometimes it's frustrating working with your own kids, but if you know that this is supposed to happen, then you expect it, and it's not as bad. That's like if you're on your way going somewhere and somebody tells you that, oh, the highway will be clear. If you run into a traffic jam, you're frustrated because that's not what you expected. But if they tell you, okay, well, it's only 15 minutes away, but it's going to take you 45 minutes because when you get on the highway, you already expecting that. So it's easier to go down that road. And if parents already know this is going to be a struggle for your child and it's okay, then they don't get as frustrated when they start working with them and they like, well, didn't you go through this at school? Why don't you know this already?
Right. You know what? It's so funny because I think of our age because we both turned 50 this year, you at the beginning and me at the end.
Yay.
But I know a lot of grandparents, if they're not raising their grandchildren, they are a big part of their lives and they may be picking them up after school and they're the ones that's helping with homework. And it's been a minute since I've done some second grade work. I'm not saying I couldn't do it, but I can be sure that it's not something that I will readily be, like right there at it because it's been a while. And so that's why I thought that your videos, and I hope you would actually continue to put more videos up there because it will help, our generation and then even like our children when they're helping the kids because like you said, the parents are the first teachers. And if those parents aren't doing it, then it all falls on the teacher at the school and it's really just not enough time in the day. Hence, you're staying late after school.
Right. And when you're with your parent, kids learn better when they're with somebody that they know loves them. And I know that sounds cliche, but it's true. Somebody once said that kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Mm-hmm.
So when they get in that 1-on-1 or 1-on-3 or 1-on-5 with their parents, it makes it easier for them to get it. And it shows them that my mom thinks this is important.
Okay, so that's deep. That was deep.
And on my YouTube page, I have some step-by-step videos now of the addition and subtraction. And since I'm working with second grade now, is 3-digit and 2-digit addition and subtraction. But once they learn that, they can take it all the way out to 100 if that's what they need to do.
And I like how you use money. Because when we really think about it, that's the reason why I care about math. It's about money, man. Because I know them, going in there into the malls and you see 60% off, and you get to calculating. I don't have to pull out a phone. I know how to calculate that stuff because those things are important to me. So I like the fact that you use money because that makes it like real life type stuff.
And the reason I used the money was because I started out using the base 10 blocks that we use at school. And I thought to myself, they don't have that at home. If I'm making this video for people to use at home, I need to make it something that they can actually touch at home. Not just some video where they watching me do it. Okay, now you saw me do it. Now you can pull out your own piggy banks, break it down, and show your child this.
Yeah.
So you got to be able to have the materials at your house if it's going to work for you.
Exactly. That is so true. You know what? Okay, so I know we kind of glossed over the part when I was joking about you having an unofficial shelter. I want to go back to that because I think that is so important. So first, how many kids have you had living in your home?
Okay.
That weren't your children.
Counting children who lived with their parents, about 10.
10. And what was the average age?
Well, they were always older, like past 8, but from 8 to 18, no, 22 or something like that. Off and on, we're adults. We have friends who get into situations sometimes that they just need a little help. And sometimes the kids need a little help. They need somewhere to stay where it's going to be safe and while their parents get themselves together. The first 2 guys who came to live with me were actually babysitters for me. They were babysitting my kids when my kids were small, but when I got ready to take them home, I would always have to take them to a different place. And I told them, I said, hey, wait. Where do you live? so I can take you home. I'm not going to be driving all around the city trying to find someplace for you to be. I don't want to take you home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when they broke down and told me that they didn't really have a home, that their mom had put them out. She was in a domestic situation where her boyfriend would beat her up. Well, these boys were 14 and 15 years old now.
Mm.
So 14 and 15-year-old boys are not getting ready to let some man beat on their mama.
Right.
So she put them out.
Mm. 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 Mm.
Because they were jumping up trying to fight the boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And they were going from family member to family member, and nobody was willing to keep them.
Mm.
So they would just go and stay one place one night, another place another night. So they were just carrying clothes from one place to the other. So I just told them, go get your stuff,
Mm.
and you just stay at the house with me. And that's what they did. We got them because that's when I found out they weren't in school.
Oh my goodness.
So we got them in school, which was really hard for the younger one because he had some learning challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And at being 14 or 15, he was only in about the 7th grade.
Mm.
So he was like way behind in school, and they didn't want to let him in school because he was too old to be in class with those kids.
Right.
So we worked on things at the house with him. At first, there was a program called the Lincoln Challenge Program with the, who does that? It's not the Army Reserve, it's I forgot which one it is, but it's called the Lincoln Challenge Program. And I couldn't sign him up for the program because I was not his legal parent or his legal guardian. There was nothing legal about them staying at my house. So we went to get his mom to sign the papers, and she wouldn't sign the paperwork because she was still getting food stamps and a check based on that. But she put them out. They not at your house, but you getting funds for them. And she wouldn't sign the paperwork so her son could go and get his diploma and go to school. Well, when he turned 16, we got him into a GED program. And we worked through that with him. But it was difficult for the two of them, but those were the first two. And a lot of times, their friends didn't live at my house, but they had a couple of friends who stayed the night often because they might have been having challenges with their parents. It was just a safe haven. It wasn't some place where they could wild out. I wasn't Mama. What was her name in that movie? It wasn't like that. But it was a place where they can go and they can get something to eat and they can get some sleep. Take a shower because people shouldn't be walking around stinking. Just a safe place for them to be where they didn't have to worry about somebody judging them or jumping on them.
How long did those two boys stay with you?
They were there about 3 years.
Wow. And I guess after you took them in, that's when you realized it was needed. And so that's why you were probably more accepting for the next kid and the next kid and the next kid.
Yeah, I had a young lady that came to stay with me. She's my play daughter. But she got pregnant. And her dad was very upset, and he didn't want her there. They were getting into it every day, and she was stressing. So she came and she stayed with me, and I kept the lines of communication open with her dad so he could know what was going on with her. And she stayed with me until she had her first child.
Wow.
Because it was just a lot of times when children do things and their parents might not necessarily be disappointed in them. They might be disappointed in themselves and the
Mm.
decisions that they made, but it comes off like you mad at the child, like you disappointed in the child. And it hurts even more when you feel like you at fault for a mistake that your child has made.
Mm-hmm.
But she was able to go back after a while. You know, her and her dad got everything together. And I was just the middle person.
The mediator.
Yes, I was the mediator. Because he didn't love her any less and she didn't love him any less. They were just at odds at that moment, and she needed a place to go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, family feel like, well, if I let them come and stay here, then they gonna think I'm trying to get in the middle of their situation, and I just don't want to get involved. You know, a lot of times that's the way the family feels.
Yeah, that's really deep. So you know what? I know. So this show, you know, basically is just about just feeling blessed. So you were a school teacher, and let's just face it, you don't make a whole lot of money to take care of your kids and other people's kids either. So how did you? I mean, like you had to just wake up and like say, you know what? I'm blessed enough to be a blessing, no matter how much, you know what I'm saying? Like, because a lot of us feel like we don't have enough for ourselves and ours, that let alone to bring in other people's kids, because that first woman was definitely not sending you no check for them 2 kids. We already know she didn't want to sign them over. So we know she wasn't sending you no money. And that was 2 teenage boys. And then I didn't tell everybody this, but Sheri has 4 sons. So that's a lot of boys. That's a lot of food. Oh my gosh. And they eat. They can eat. Oh my gosh. So like how did like your mindset, talk about your mindset a little bit.
I always believe that there's gonna be a way. I never thought about what if we don't have enough. I just figured it'll be enough. You get a chicken breast, and instead of giving a kid a whole piece of chicken, you cut it up and make it look like it's more. So where you might just be able to feed 2 kids if you cut it in half and give them a big piece, if you cut it in chunks, you could feed 6 kids, and they all think they had a lot.
All right, Jesus, feed me 5,000 with the 5.
Right. I just never really thought about it not being enough. In my mind, I'm paying the house note, whether it's me and mine in it or if it's me and mine plus some more. I'm paying the water, whether it's just me and mine or me and mine and some more. I'm going to be paying the electric. Whether it's me and mine or some more. So certain things were going to happen regardless.
Right.
And if we had, and they were in our scope, I just didn't feel like I could just leave them out there if I knew. I know they don't have any place to go.
Right.
Then that just puts me right there with all those other people that's just tossing them out.
Yeah. But it goes back to, it really is about your mindset, because you never had a doubt that you would be able, that taking care of 2 more kids or how many other more kids that came into your life, you never had a doubt that you would have enough. And that's really what, you know, I really want people to understand, that you just have to believe that you're blessed and really believe that God's going to take care of you, because he promised us. He said we don't have to worry about food. The birds don't worry about that stuff. He tells us that. And we got to have that faith, you know, like in my book, you know, it said we got to exercise our faith. And what you did was a true exercise in the faith, because it may not have looked like you were going to have enough, because you and your kids ate all the food. So when two more people, some people would have been like, yeah, it's not going to be enough. But you like, no, because I remember reading the Bible where he fed 5,000. I'm just trying to feed two more. Right. So what I'm tripping about?
And there was always enough.
Because there is no lack. There is no lack in God. That's, and that's what we want people to get to. There is no lack. I don't have to steal from you because I can have what I want. There is not like it's just a little bit and only, if these people hoarding it, it don't matter. I was telling somebody I got a fruit tree out there. I didn't even know what the kind of fruit it was, but they look apples. They Japanese apples. Ton of them. I had some potatoes that the person had potatoes. So I'm just like, really, if you think about it, potatoes, apple, I got pomegranates and I got peppers and I got a banana tree and the person next door to me got a lime tree that come over on my side a little bit. Really, me and my child could survive off of all that. Yeah. There is no lack. That's with me. That's not going to work at all. That's just going to pick out the stuff that's in my yard. So there is no lack. And I'm so appreciative of you because you may not really understand this, but you are an inspiration to me because you really teach me about exercising my faith. Because I see, I was a pharmacist. I just had one kid. You were a teacher. You have 4 kids and all the other kids that would come through. It's like, but you never not had. I mean, you always had. We went to the same trips. We went on the same trips. You know what I'm saying? We took our children. Every other Christmas we were at the same place. And, every other year for the family reunion in July, we were all there. We were all in hotel rooms. It was like there was no difference. And so that's when I realized it's like, man, God is awesome.
Yes, he is. I mean, it's a lot of instances in the Bible where people had little to nothing, and they had to share. They were asked to share, and when they did, they were blessed for it.
Yes.
They were blessed just by doing what they were supposed to do.
Yes.
Sharing and taking care of people. I like that Jesus taught in parables.
Mm-hmm.
To understand what's really going on,
right?
Help us to have a visual of what's going on. But basically, you got to take care of other people. We're not here to be autonomous.
Right.
We're a community. So we're here as a community working together to pull things up. And what's that old parable? What is it? It takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
Proverb. That's what
proverb.
It is.
Mm-hmm. African proverb.
It does take a village to raise a child, and your village might not be on your street. Your village might not be in your house. Your village might be that stranger that saw you walking down the street at dusk and didn't understand why you out here by yourself.
Right. That's really deep. So we got like 5 minutes and we got to wrap up a little bit. So I want you, if people want to see your video, they're going to go to your YouTube, right? And they can search Sheri Tolson and they should be able to find your videos, correct?
Right, but they have to spell Sheri correctly.
How do you spell Sheri correctly?
Sheri. Sheri ends with a question.
Not with an I, but with a question. Why? I like that. And Tolson is that Tolson. Okay, and then another thing. You are an author yourself. Yes, you are. Don't look at me like that. Okay, for the people that are listening, she is giving me a look. Like, what are you talking about? My sister is also an author. That's why I think she was able to encourage me to publish my first book, Single and Saved, is because she herself was an author. So it's like she knew that it was good enough and people would enjoy it. And so I do have to thank her for that. But she does plays and things like that. We are a very creative family. We are a very creative family. So I'm sure, are you going to put out a book? Even if it's not, I mean, what are you gonna do? What you gonna do?
I've already written a play that I intend to type out and share. And it too is about the trials that teenagers go through and how they can help each other, because they are so instrumental in influencing one another.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have some who can accentuate the positive, it makes a big difference in the life of others. And a lot of times adults cannot understand the issues that teenagers go through because we're in a totally different place. Your perspective is monumental to your understanding.
Yes, say that.
So a lot of times it's best for young people to talk to other young people. And I know we're afraid of that because we're thinking the blind leading the blind. But people don't want to listen to you if they know that you haven't been where they are.
Right.
Or if they think you haven't been where they are.
Right.
What you say doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm. You know what? When you say that, what I think, you know, it's like you have parents like you and me and like, you know, Roz, we raised our sons and daughter, because there's one daughter amongst the three of us, right? But we raise our children in a way that they can be the leaders. They can be the ones that are helping their fellow students. And, you know, but then they also need help themselves at times. But we did raise them to have give good sound advice, you know, and to be the leaders of their groups. So it's really important as a parent for me to put that in my son, because I do, like you said, I know that he's going to be out there on the front line, you know, talking his friends down and keeping them encouraged. When he went to college, oh my gosh, you know, he prayed for them and they were like moved. When he was like, and these people, they hadn't gone to church. He hadn't been to church with them at you know, in college. But he prayed and he moved the people because they were feeling some type of way because of an event that happened. And he prayed such a great prayer that it moved their spirit, and people came over to him like, thank you for that prayer. And so it's important as parents that we do put that instill in our children, that they have to be the leaders, the moral leaders, the, you know, emotional, the spiritual. They have to give the people around them the advice that they may not take from their own parents or from other adults.
And we need them to step out. Those who have more, they need to step out so they can give it. And a lot of times when one person steps out and is bold enough to speak out, it gives the rest permission to go ahead and do the same thing. Because you go into a classroom, I tell my students, I say, I don't want anybody yelling out that this is hard. Because as soon as somebody hears that, they think, oh, okay, good, it's not just me, this is hard, I can't do this. No, that's not what we're doing. Turn that around, let me hear something different. It's challenging, but I can do it, okay? That's that growth mindset.
Yes. Yes, I like that. And then we have to close out. But if every parent out there listening, as your child's first teacher, that right there, if you teach them that one thing, I think that'll get them through school. It's challenging, but I got this. But I can do it. I got this. I can do this, because we have to have that spirit. And thank you, Sheri, for being with us. Thank you for being an inspiration in my life, and I hope you have inspired the listeners. And if you are out there and you have an extra room, you got a couch somewhere, you know, you don't hesitate to help a child out that need it. because we do not want these children out on the street. It's not safe out there in the streets for them. So we that have places for them, I always got a couch for my son's friends and some, the students that we meet. Thank you for inspiring us, Sheri. And again, if you would like to donate, go to wytv7.org. And if you want to see how you can help your students do some math, especially your second graders, go to the YouTube and search Sheri Tolson, SHERRYTOLSON. And hopefully Sheri will have her play out, and we'll be able to tell you where you can go and see the play.
Yeah, and if there's something that people want to see, leave a message on the comments, and maybe I can get a video up for that.
All right, so everybody, if you have a concept that you need to learn, just hit her up on the YouTube and tell her what you would love to see next. Sheri, thank you so much. And to my listeners, don't forget, go to the Facebook group and join. And also remember, what God has done for others, he can do for you. Be blessed, everyone.